Hello again, fellow explorers of the unknown. If you're just joining us, where we dive deep into the world of the supernatural, uncovering chilling tales from some of the most haunted places across America. Tonight, we're stepping into the realm of the dead, not metaphorically, but literally. We'll be exploring one of the most spine-chilling subjects in paranormal investigation: haunted graveyards. Across the United States, there are burial grounds that have become infamous for more than just their history. They've earned reputations as places where the veil between the living and the dead is dangerously thin. From eerie whispers carried by the wind to shadowy figures seen roaming among the tombstones, these cemeteries hold secrets that refuse to stay buried. And tonight, we begin our descent into terror at one of the most infamous spots on our list, the Island of the Dead, North Brother Island. But before we step into the darkness, let me remind you, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another bone-chilling episode. If you've been with us since the beginning, thank you for continuing this journey through the paranormal with me. Now, get comfortable, dim the lights, and prepare yourself for a night of fear. Because what we're about to uncover will make you question everything you thought you knew about the living and the dead. Are you ready? Then let's take our first step into the shadows. I had read countless stories about North Brother Island, but nothing could have prepared me for what I experienced when I finally stepped foot on its cursed soil. Getting onto the island wasn't easy. It's strictly off-limits to the public, guarded by both law enforcement and nature itself. But after months of planning and coordinating with a team of urban explorers, I finally found a way, and we arrived under the cover of darkness, slipping into a rowboat and paddling silently across the icy waters of the East River. The city lights behind us faded as we approached the island's jagged shoreline, the only sound the rhythmic splash of oars against the water. As we pulled up to the rocks and climbed onto dry land, a wave of unease washed over me. The air felt different here, thick, stagnant, as if the island itself was holding its breath. The first thing that struck me was the silence. Even though we were mere minutes from the chaos of New York City, it felt like we had entered another world entirely. One devoid of life, save for the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. We made our way toward the main building, the former Riverside Hospital, which loomed out of the darkness like a skeletal hand reaching toward the sky. As we approached the entrance, my flashlight beam caught glimpses of the decay inside: shattered windows, collapsed ceilings, and walls covered in moss and ivy. The moment I stepped inside, the temperature dropped significantly. Goosebumps rose on my arms, and my breath misted slightly in the frigid air. I told myself it was just the dampness, but deep down, I knew better. We moved cautiously through the hallway, our footsteps muffled by layers of dust and debris. The floor groaned ominously beneath our weight, warning us that the building might not hold together much longer. At the end of the corridor, we came upon a stairwell leading to the upper floors. I hesitated before ascending, a chill creeping up my spine. Something about that staircase felt wrong, like it was beckoning me forward, daring me to see what lay above. Taking a deep breath, I climbed upward, each step echoing through the empty halls. When I reached the second floor, I turned on my flashlight and swept the beam across the room. What I saw made my blood run cold. There, sitting upright in a corner, was a figure, a person, dressed in tattered hospital garb, staring directly at me. Over the years, numerous individuals have come forward with chilling testimonies about their encounters on North Brother Island, accounts that range from inexplicable sensations to full-blown paranormal experiences. These first-hand stories add layers to the island's already haunting reputation, painting a picture of a place where the past refuses to stay buried. One of the most compelling accounts comes from Ethan Cross, a photographer who managed to sneak onto the island several years ago. He described the eerie atmosphere as soon as he set foot on the shore. "It was like walking into a tomb," he told me. "The air was heavy, almost suffocating. Every sound felt amplified: the crunch of gravel beneath my boots, the rustling of leaves in the wind. And then, there was the silence. It was unnatural. Like the island was listening." Ethan recalled wandering through the abandoned hospital, capturing images of the decaying structure. As he explored the second-floor hallway, he noticed something strange: his camera kept malfunctioning. Every time I tried to take a picture of the hallway, the screen would go black. Just static. I changed batteries, cleaned the lens, nothing worked. Then, when I finally gave up and looked away, I heard it. He paused, visibly shaken. A child laughing. Right behind me. He turned around sharply, but there was no one there. Only the empty hallway stretching before him. That's when I ran, he admitted. I didn't look back. Another chilling account comes from Dr. Rebecca Langford, a historian specializing in New York's medical history. She has spent years researching Riverside Hospital and the people who lived and died there. The records are incomplete, she explained. Many of the patients weren't properly documented. Their names were lost, their deaths unrecorded. That's part of what makes North Brother Island so unsettling. So many lives were erased. She believes that the spirits of those who perished on the island remain trapped, unable to move on due to the lack of recognition and remembrance. These were people who suffered in isolation, she said. They died alone, without closure. Their stories deserve to be told. Perhaps the most disturbing testimony comes from Lena Torres, a psychic medium who claims to have communicated directly with the spirits residing on North Brother Island. During a private session held near the ruins of the hospital, Lena described encountering a group of children who had died during a typhoid outbreak in the early 1900s. They were playing together, she said, her voice trembling. Laughing, running around, just like normal kids. But then they stopped. They looked at me, and they asked why no one remembered them. She described feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness emanating from the spirits, as if they were pleading to be acknowledged. I don't think they're evil, she concluded. I think they're lonely. These first-hand accounts, gathered from individuals across different walks of life, paint a picture of a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is blurred. Whether it is the residual energy of suffering, the restless spirits of those who perished within its walls, or something far more sinister, one thing is certain: North Brother Island continues to exert its influence, drawing people in and leaving them forever changed. What lurks within North Brother Island? As I pieced together the experiences I had encountered and the testimonies of those who had explored North Brother Island before me, one question kept resurfacing: what exactly was responsible for the phenomena reported within these walls? Was it the lingering echoes of trauma imprinted onto the environment? Were the spirits of the deceased simply refusing to move on? Or was something far more complex at play? One of the most widely accepted explanations among paranormal researchers is the concept of residual hauntings, where intense emotions or traumatic events leave behind a psychic imprint that replays like a recording under certain conditions. In the case of North Brother Island, the sheer number of deaths that occurred within its confines, particularly among patients isolated in the Riverside Hospital, could have created a powerful energetic residue. Visitors often describe feelings of despair, loneliness, and longing when walking through specific areas of the island, particularly in the abandoned hospital corridors. These sensations align with the theory that the island is acting as a vessel for past suffering, replaying moments of anguish whenever the right environmental factors are met. However, skeptics argue that if this were purely a residual haunting, the manifestations would be repetitive and predictable. Yet, numerous witnesses claim to have interacted with the entities they encountered, suggesting a level of intelligence rather than passive playback. Another prevalent theory suggests that North Brother Island may be home to intelligent spirits, beings who are aware of their surroundings and capable of communication. Unlike residual hauntings, which are non-responsive, intelligent spirits can react to visitors, sometimes even attempting to convey messages or warnings. The child Ethan Cross claimed to hear laughing fits this description perfectly. She did not merely appear, she was watching him, reacting to his presence. Similarly, Lena Torres' encounter with the group of children implies that at least some of the entities within the island possess awareness and intent. Some believe these spirits are the souls of those who perished within the hospital walls, unable to move on due to unfinished business or extreme emotional attachment. Others speculate that Typhoid Mary herself remains tethered to the island, still haunted by the legacy of the disease she unknowingly spread. However, not all theories point to benevolent or neutral spirits. Some researchers propose that North Brother Island may be a hotspot for demonic or malevolent entities, feeding off negative energy and preying on vulnerable minds. This explanation aligns with the overwhelming sense of dread and psychological distress experienced by many who explore the property. Several accounts describe visitors being physically attacked, restrained by unseen forces, or experiencing sudden bouts of insanity while on the island. If this theory holds true, then North Brother Island is not merely haunted, it is cursed, a place where evil thrives and grows stronger with time. Beyond traditional paranormal explanations, some theorists suggest that North Brother Island may be connected to interdimensional rifts or alternate realities. This hypothesis posits that certain locations act as gateways between dimensions, allowing entities from other planes of existence to bleed into our world. Proponents of this theory point to the bizarre distortions in space and time reported by explorers, hallways that shift unexpectedly, staircases leading to nowhere, and voices speaking in languages that do not exist. If North Brother Island serves as a thin veil between worlds, then the horrors within may not be bound by the laws of our reality at all. Of course, not everyone believes in the supernatural. Skeptics argue that many of the experiences reported on the island can be attributed to psychological factors, environmental influences, or even deliberate hoaxes. The power of suggestion plays a significant role in shaping perceptions. When people expect to encounter ghosts, they are more likely to interpret ambiguous stimuli as paranormal. Additionally, the remote location, decaying structure, and historical reputation of the island create an ideal setting for heightened anxiety and sensory distortion. Mold spores, electromagnetic fluctuations, and infrasound, all naturally occurring in old buildings, can contribute to feelings of unease, dizziness, and hallucinations. While these explanations offer rational alternatives, they fail to account for the consistency of the reports across decades and generations. Ultimately, whether North Brother Island is haunted by vengeful spirits, demonic forces, interdimensional entities, or simply the power of human imagination remains a matter of debate. What is undeniable, however, is that something lingers within those ruins, something that refuses to be ignored. The psychological toll. How haunted places affect the mind. As I delved deeper into my research and personal experiences on North Brother Island, I couldn't ignore the profound psychological impact these haunted locations seemed to have on those who entered them. It wasn't just about fleeting glimpses of apparitions or strange noises in the night. It was about the way these places seemed to warp perception, distort time, and unravel the very fabric of sanity. Numerous studies have shown that environments associated with fear and trauma can trigger heightened anxiety, paranoia, and even hallucinations. The brain, when exposed to prolonged stress or sensory deprivation, begins to misinterpret stimuli, filling in gaps with imagined threats. In a place like North Brother Island, where centuries of suffering, loss, and death have accumulated, this effect seems to be amplified. Visitors report feeling disoriented, as if the very architecture of the island is shifting around them. Doors that should lead outside instead open into unfamiliar hallways. Staircases end abruptly in solid walls. Time itself feels distorted, with some claiming to spend hours exploring only to realize mere minutes have passed. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as temporal dissonance, a condition in which individuals lose track of time due to external stressors or altered states of consciousness. In highly charged emotional environments, such as places steeped in tragedy, people often experience a breakdown in their perception of linear time, making them more susceptible to irrational fears and intrusive thoughts. This could explain why so many explorers on North Brother Island describe feeling as though they are reliving moments from the past, as if they've slipped into the lives of those who once walked these halls. Additionally, the concept of suggestion-induced hallucination plays a significant role in how people interpret their experiences in haunted locations. When individuals enter a place expecting to encounter the supernatural, their brains actively seek patterns that confirm their expectations. A flicker of light becomes a ghostly figure. A distant sound transforms into a whisper. Even the subconscious mind, primed by folklore and media portrayals of the paranormal, can generate vivid hallucinations that feel entirely real. Yet, despite these psychological explanations, there remains an undeniable element of the unknown. Not all experiences can be dismissed as tricks of the mind. Some encounters defy logic, occurring in ways that cannot be easily replicated or debunked. For example, multiple independent groups have captured identical EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, on the island, voices speaking the same phrase, sometimes even addressing individuals by name. These occurrences challenge conventional understanding and raise questions about whether something beyond human perception is at work. Whether the effects of haunted places stem from environmental factors, psychological conditioning, or something entirely supernatural, one thing is clear: these locations have a powerful hold over the human psyche. And for those who dare to enter, the consequences may linger far beyond the moment they walk off the island. Determined to uncover more of New York's haunted history, I set out on a journey to investigate other locations rumored to be steeped in supernatural activity. If North Brother Island had left me shaken, I could only imagine what lay ahead. Armed with my camera, voice recorder, and a healthy dose of skepticism, I ventured into the heart of Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and beyond, following whispers of forgotten tragedies and eerie legends. My first stop was Riverside Cemetery, located in Harlem, a burial ground dating back to the 18th century. Though largely forgotten today, this cemetery was once one of the largest African American burial sites in the city. Locals spoke of strange occurrences, figures seen walking among the headstones at night, whispers carried by the wind, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. As I wandered through the rows of weather-worn tombstones, the sky darkened unnaturally fast, and the temperature plummeted. A low, mournful wail echoed through the hills, sending a shiver down my spine. Next, I traveled to Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, a sprawling necropolis said to be home to dozens of reportedly haunted grave sites. Among the most famous is the resting place of Jean-Baptiste Lambert, a French soldier who died in the War of 1812. Visitors claim to see a spectral figure in military uniform standing at his grave, vanishing the moment someone approaches. As I stood beside his tombstone, I noticed the chandelier above me swayed slightly, despite the complete absence of wind. Moments later, a cold breeze brushed against the back of my neck, though the windows were all closed. From there, I made my way to Manhattan, where the Seward Park Library awaited. Built atop the site of a former Jewish immigrant tenement, the library has long been rumored to be haunted by the spirits of children who died in a fire that consumed the building in the early 1900s. Staff members reported hearing faint laughter coming from the basement, only to find no one there. As I descended into the lower levels, I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. My flashlight flickered, and the air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me, sealing me in darkness. I pounded on it, calling out, but no one answered. When I finally managed to pry it open, I found myself staring at a wall of brick. Where there had once been a doorway, there was now only solid stone. Each location I visited reinforced the same chilling truth: New York City's haunted legacy was not just a collection of myths and legends. It was real, tangible, and waiting to be uncovered. The dark truth behind New York's haunted legacy. As I compiled my findings from North Brother Island, Riverside Cemetery, Greenwood Cemetery, and Seward Park Library, a disturbing pattern emerged, one that suggested these hauntings were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger, interconnected web of suffering and unresolved grief. Each location carried the weight of tragedy, from the lost souls of Riverside Hospital to the desperate spirits of forgotten neighborhoods. One possible explanation for these widespread paranormal occurrences is the concept of collective trauma imprinting. The idea that places where mass suffering has occurred can retain the emotional residue of those events, manifesting as recurring hauntings or persistent supernatural activity. In New York City, the brutal history of slavery, immigration struggles, and systemic inequality may have created a fertile ground for lingering spiritual energy. The pain of those who perished in accidents, battles, or forced labor may have left an indelible mark on the land, their voices echoing through the centuries in the form of ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and chilling encounters. Another theory points to the possibility that New York's unique geography, its dense population, towering buildings, and underground infrastructure, acts as a natural conduit for paranormal energy. Some researchers believe that certain geological formations, particularly those containing high concentrations of quartz and magnetite, can amplify electromagnetic fields, potentially influencing human perception and creating conditions conducive to supernatural experiences. This could explain why so many of the city's most haunted locations are situated in areas where the underground subway system runs beneath historic buildings. Beyond scientific speculation, there is also the belief, held by many indigenous communities, that certain places in New York are sacred, inhabited by ancestral spirits who guard the land and its history. According to Native American oral traditions, some locations are considered spirit traps, where the souls of the deceased are drawn to ancient burial grounds or sites of great significance. These spirits are not necessarily malevolent, but they are deeply connected to the land, and their presence can be felt by those who trespass without respect or understanding. This perspective challenges the Western interpretation of hauntings as random or accidental occurrences, instead framing them as intentional messages from the past, warnings, lessons, or reminders of histories that must not be forgotten. Regardless of the explanation, one thing remains undeniable: New York's haunted legacy is deeply intertwined with its history. Whether these spirits are the result of residual energy, conscious entities, or something beyond comprehension, they continue to reach out, demanding to be heard. And as long as their stories remain untold, as long as their suffering is forgotten, they will never be able to rest. As I reflect on the experiences I've had and the stories I've uncovered, one truth becomes painfully clear: these spirits are not merely seeking attention or frightening the living. They are crying out for recognition, for justice, for remembrance. The miners who perished in suffocating tunnels, the women who lost their lives to betrayal and despair, the soldiers who fought and died in forgotten battles, none of them chose this fate. They were victims of history's darkest chapters, their suffering buried beneath time, their names erased from official records. But their presence lingers, a testament to the atrocities committed in these places. What frightens me most is not the supernatural itself, but the realization that these hauntings persist because we, the living, have failed to acknowledge them. We treat these locations as tourist attractions, as spooky excursions for thrill seekers, rather than as sacred ground where real people lived, suffered, and died. We sensationalize their pain, reducing their stories to entertainment, forgetting that behind every ghostly whisper, every chilling apparition, there is a human being whose life was stolen, whose voice was silenced. This is not just about the paranormal, it is about history, about justice, about responsibility. If these spirits cannot move on, if they are trapped in cycles of torment, then it is up to us to ensure that their stories are not forgotten. We must educate ourselves on the atrocities that took place in these locations, honor the lives that were lost, and fight for the preservation of their memory. Whether or not we believe in the supernatural, we must recognize that these places carry the weight of trauma, and they deserve to be treated with the dignity and respect they have long been denied. So, as we leave this episode behind, I urge you, do not forget. Do not dismiss these stories as mere urban legends or ghost tales designed to scare. These are real histories, real tragedies, real people. Let us not allow their suffering to vanish into the shadows. Let us remember. Let us listen. And above all, let us ensure that no one is ever forgotten again. As I bring this episode to a close, I feel the weight of everything I've witnessed pressing down on me. North Brother Island, Riverside Cemetery, Greenwood Cemetery, Seward Park Library, each of these places carries a darkness that refuses to fade, a lingering presence that demands to be acknowledged. I have walked through their streets, listened to their whispers, and felt the cold touch of something beyond understanding. And yet, despite everything I've seen, I know there is still more to uncover. But I must ask you, why do we keep coming back? Why do we chase the unknown, daring it to reveal itself, convinced that we can control what we find? The spirits that haunt these places are not harmless specters caught in a loop of time. They are real, they are aware, and they are watching. Some beg for help, some plead for remembrance, and others seem to want something far more sinister. I don't know if I will return to North Brother Island. Part of me feels that I owe it to the lost souls trapped within its ruins to keep telling their story, to ensure that their suffering is never forgotten. But another part of me, the part that remembers the child's reflection in the mirror, the cold hand brushing my shoulder in the dark, the way the building seemed to breathe around me, knows that some doors, once opened, should never be stepped through again. If you choose to explore these places for yourself, then do so with caution. Respect the history, honor the dead, and never underestimate the power of what lingers in the shadows. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that some places are not meant to be disturbed. Before we part ways, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you who joined me on this journey through New York's most haunted places. Whether you're a longtime follower of the channel or tuning in for the first time, your support means the world to me. Sharing these stories, uncovering the mysteries of the past, and connecting with all of you who are just as fascinated by the unknown as I am, this is what keeps me going. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell so you never miss another chilling investigation. Your engagement fuels the content we create, and knowing that there's a community of fellow believers, skeptics, and curious minds out there makes every expedition worthwhile. Don't forget to drop a comment below and let me know what you thought. Did any of these stories send chills down your spine? Have you ever visited a haunted location yourself? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Until next time, stay brave, stay curious, and remember, sometimes, the scariest things in life aren't hiding in the dark, they're waiting for you to find them.